Sports science. I did a show called Sports Science. Have you guys seen that? I don't know if it's still on, but it was fun. You take like something that you had in theory, even a common belief that's out there, then this guy would come out and he would actually test it from a more scientific standpoint and document for what would happen. So the part that I was on, I got Houston Alexander. Just for example, myself, we got Krzysztof Szczecinski against a Cincinnati Bengals running back. He's going to run the ball. We're other big athletes, but we're not football players, and we're just going to see if we can strip the ball from him. Real simple. This is what we're going to do. Now, the relevance of that, so we do it at a school because we need access to a football field. So now I am on the campus of a school. This is in California. While on the campus of the school in California, kids are coming out. They're pretty excited, man. We got a Cincinnati Bengals. There's a few fighters there. And these were younger kids. These were like middle school kids. And I end up in conversation with them, and they are they are very big Kimbo Slice fans. But I'm talking right with them, man. I'm a Kimbo fan too, and he's kind of new, and there's something out called Elite XC. And Kimbo was the main eventer, and he's doing great things. But this was very much from an entertainment standpoint, of which I thought I was on the same page with the kids, or the kids were on the same page with me. But as they start talking, that isn't the situation. They're not fans of Kimbo. They believe that Kimbo is the greatest fighter in the world. And their illustration for that was that he had won his last 3 fights. He won them all by knockout. In fact, he knocked out a guy last Saturday. They're telling me this. And, I'm listening. I'm not looking to put Kimbo down, but I'm a little caught off guard. And I'm listening. Well, I don't know if he's the top fighter in the world, but he's certainly doing a good job over there. And I'm trying to have more of a sophisticated conversation, but it was a big learning moment for me, which is why I'm telling you guys about it. Like, I have never forgot the psychology, and this was just kids. And somewhere as I'm going, he's pretty good. Somewhere as I'm doing that, one of the kids calls me on it. So what do you think? You're better than Kimbo? And he said, I follow your career. You lost 2 fights ago. I'm looking at him going, yeah, but that was a world title fight. Kimbo's fighting guys that aren't, it's one of these things, but the kids let me know that I'm wrong. That I had lost a couple fights ago. They even saw it, and he has won his last 5 by knockout, including one on Saturday. I am just clearly out of my mind. So, oh, wow. That's interesting. Like at some point on my journey as a fan, I also had that mindset. Once I learned more and I was around it more, then I adopted more of a sophisticated mindset like I have now, which is, who you're fighting and how was the competition, what was the performance like, not just the outcome, but this was a major eye-opener for me. And what I believe to be true, like nobody in my circle, and I talk fighting every day with somebody, nobody within my circle had this mindset. Now, these guys aren't fighters at all. They don't aspire to be. They don't go to the gym. Their pops didn't used to train. Nothing like that. They were just middle schoolers, but they were fans. And Elite XC was on CBS, and they had seen it, and Kimbo was the guy. For obvious reasons. One, he was biggest. Heavyweight, he's main event. He won in the main event fight. Obviously, he could beat everybody else. Okay. So, now the reason I bring that to you isn't to go back on Kimbo. It's that this was a very effective moment for me. It was a very effective moment for me to understand that social media, or what I might see on social media, that I would then believe was the larger consensus of the audience, is really just confined to who happened to send the tweet in conjunction with at what point did I pick up the phone and read a couple of tweets. Like if there was a coincidence and a couple of guys had an opinion and it was to go up instead of down, and I happen to look at it and I get those couple of opinions, I put it down, and I don't get any other opinions, you can see where I'm influenced, and I'm also going to think that that's a voice for the masses. There was a Saturday Night Live when I was growing up with Stuart Small. He'd look in the mirror and he'd say, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. It was called a daily affirmation, but people would tease him, they would make fun of it. Well, the problem with making fun of it, it's real. It's very real. So if you need to let certain voices in, or you need to keep setting certain voices out, there's a number of world champions, Olympic champions, where they won't talk to the outside world, and then they will write notes to themselves. Dave Schultz was very, very well known for this. He would write his notes, his goals, but they wouldn't say what he wanted to do. it would, from a perspective that he'd already done it, I am the Olympic champion. Before the Olympics had even come up, right? He's a little boy. I am the Olympic champion. And he would put that on his mirror, the mirror that he brushed his teeth in every day, so he was forced to see it. But think about that. Like, that makes good sense. You probably heard some level of that, whether you've done it or not, but you probably heard some level of it. But just apply that to the other side, that if you're letting stuff in that aren't the notes that you posted for yourself, you're now going to be susceptible to whatever it is you hear. And where am I going with this? Joe Pyfer. Okay. Now, here's what you might not know about Joe Pyfer. You probably don't know how to spell or pronounce Pyfer. And the other side that you might not know is he is a straight up badass. Joe Pyfer is not a mixed martial artist. He's skilled in the martial arts. That dude is a rough guy. Like, there was a number of crafts that he could have gone into. And if he was out playing basketball, man, I don't like playing with that guy. That guy's too rough. I played with him last week and I cut an elbow to the face. Like, he's one of these guys. He's a rough guy. And if you gave him the elbow back, it wouldn't bother him at all, right? Like, you know, guys like that, they just prefer contact. Like, Joe likely had a brother in the house, and it was likely an older brother or two. I don't know his family background, but that's how he acts. Like, he's a rough guy. And he's very good at fighting, but apparently he had lost. I think it was his very last fight. Now, he fought at UFC 302, okay? He just fought this last weekend. And he won. It was an undercard, and it was a stoppage. And he called out Paul Craig, which is an excellent fight. I don't know if he can get that fight. Paul Craig is a little bit more of a known commodity, but Paul Craig is not going to just let somebody call him out either. He might get that fight, which would be a big deal. Okay? If Joe Pyfer was coming off a loss, and I think he was, he gets on the card, he gets a win, he gets it by stoppage to get back on track, he cuts an interview with Joe Rogan. By the way, he calls out Paul Craig, and he gets that fight. Like, this is a grand slam. Everything is going great. And I find out about Joe. I follow the sport, so I know about him. But I'm finding out about him and some of his training and a little more that went into the fight that did not go his way when I'm talking with Ian Parker. And Ian predicted him to win, and Ian told all his guys, go bet on this guy. There is money here. He's not only going to win, Joe's going to win by knockout. It was really interesting. So I'm Pyfer's a little bit more on my tongue than he likely knows. He was undercard. Came out, though. He was talking about, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, here he is trying to get back on track. Here he is taking this risk. He goes out, he gets the outcome that he wants, and everybody's telling him that he got fraud checked. And he goes on with this interview, and he uses that term, he got fraud checked, he was fraud checked, he can't win, everybody's down on him, fraud checked, it was like this never happened, you know, swimming against the currents type thing. And use the term fraud check 3 to 4 to 5 times in this interview. You want to know why I tell you that? I've never heard the term. It was like when Masvidal told me that I was a crotch sniffer. I have never heard the term. But me not hearing the term and a guy using the term 5 times is very relevant. You can't come out and say everybody is saying and then use an expression that the coolest guy in the room with 20 times the followers you got has never heard. Like, you see where the two aren't possible? You can't believe everybody is saying when a dude with 20 times your followers has never even heard the term. Apparently it's not everybody. Apparently it's somebody who thinks they enveloped and developed a new phrase and vernacular for the industry. I mean, it's just a very small point. One thing Joe cannot do is get himself tied to that. It's not real. None of it's real. And it's very easy to say from the outside. It's very hard when you're living in that moment. See, man, I'm sweating every day for this. No, you're not. No, you're not. All discipline is, just so you people understand, is remembering what you want. That's it. Because you will constantly forget what it is you want. You will constantly forget your goals, and you will constantly get distracted and go and do something else. And the reason I say that, there was no point when Joe Pyfer started, when he was a little boy with a glimmer in his eye, watching someone on TV and thinking, I can do that, I can make my mom proud. There was no part of him that thought, I'm going to pick up my phone on a rig and I'm going to go to a social media app and it's going to say good things about me. That was never the goal. He never went to practice and learned to jab or a cross so that he got a nice tweet. He never got into professional sports hoping to earn a living so that he got nice tweets. It was never part of it. He forgot what he wanted. And that's why I tell you it's not real. There's 2 things in this business that are real aside from the bumps and bruises. The money and the miles. That's it. There is a portion of your life that will be gone, and you will be traveling, and you won't be you'll be having dinners alone, and you'll be in hotels, and you're up to make the next flight because you got to get to another town. And you're hoping you know somebody that will hold mitts for you so you can get a workout in before you go to bed, before you get in on a plane and make another town, and somewhere along the way you're hoping to get a check. Two things that are real: money, miles. Tweets are not one of them. And by the way, there is not everybody telling this to Joe. It might feel like everybody, but it wouldn't be real anyway. If that never changes, and whoever these three people are that keep weighing in on his, if they never change, if they just keep doing that, it won't matter, because that's not real anyway. That's not when he started in this sport and made a promise to himself and a deal with his coaches and tried to make his mother proud. There was no part of it that had to do with a tweet that was for you or against you. Money and the miles. If it's anything that is not one of those two, it's not real. It doesn't matter. But you will feel like it is, and you will feel like you were boxed in. And I want to grab Joe because I want to help him. I think Ian might have a relationship with him. I don't know. The way Ian spoke about him, though, man, he really believed in him. And he made me a believer in him. Mom watched, I thought that Joe looked great. I don't like reading an interview where he's hurting. I don't like that somebody hurt his feelings. I don't like that he wasn't proud of himself and would grab his phone to see what strangers said to make himself feel even better, and then it brought him down. I don't like that. But it is a concern for me if you start to think that those things are real. We're the fighters. We're the ones in the group. We're the ones that come and tell the kids and the junior high kids who are considering suicide, drugs, alcohol, running away, very serious stuff because they're getting bullied on social media. We're the ones that come in and tell them, don't let that bother you. Don't let that affect you. Those people would never walk up and say it to me, so they got to say it here because they're a bunch of cowards. We're the ones that go and do that. So we can't be the ones that, everybody is telling me that they're fraud checked or something. Please, trust me. If it's not a vernacular that I use, it's not a cool vernacular. Just not for nothing. Everybody. I would never want to be rude to Joe. That's the opposite of my piece right now. But the everybody, you don't even get to pretend. You don't even get to think for a moment it's everybody if you're an undercard fighter. I'm not trying to be a dick. But the category of everybody or nobody, that's the category, right? You ain't got a big fan base that's pulling you up to the televised card of the two buckets of everybody, nobody. You got to go with nobody. Man, nobody's paying attention to this fight. I fought 51 minutes. You want to know why I say that? Because it sounds cool. I don't know how many guys I fought. How would I know that? I go to SureDog is probably what I would have to do. But SureDog's not right. I know they're not right because I fought Ben Haley and Trevor Prangley in 1997, and they didn't list the matches. I'm not turning on SureDog, by the way. Like, that's a really great source. I'm just sharing with you. How would I even know? How would I possibly know? And it's my career. I'm into the semifinals of a heavyweight world title tournament. I do not know how many heavyweights I fought. I'm not trying to be cute right now. I fought for the light heavyweight world championship. I don't know how many light heavyweights I fought. I do not know. I fought for 2 world championships at 185 pounds. I don't know how many guys I had to go to be a contender. I can find it. I can go look it up. What I'm sharing for you is, if I don't know my own career, for you to make believe that everybody knows yours, like I'll see guys do interviews, and they're painfully boring. They go, well, obviously, I don't want the same kind of third round as I had 2 fights ago over there at the Honda Center against John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. And everybody's going, third round, 2 fights ago, Honda Center, you and so. I don't even know that fight What do you mean, obviously? Obviously, you think we know the round? We don't even know who you fought. Once we do know who you fought, we don't care at all. You either did something tonight that keeps you with the company. That's all that matters. Do you have a job to come to tomorrow? It's no different than me as the reporter asking you a question. One thing we care about. One thing we'll ever give you a hard time, give you a pass, lift you, or kick you for. Do you have a job to go to tomorrow? You could have lost tonight. You could have lost in embarrassing fashion. Are they releasing you or not? If they're not releasing you, we're all good. We ain't got to talk about yesterday. One's got nothing to do with the other. The biggest star in the sport is Conor McGregor did not win his last fight. His opponent for Red Panty Night, which was the biggest box office ever, even if it got canceled, was Michael Chandler, who has something in common with Conor McGregor, which he didn't win his last fight. All the rest of that stuff is in your head. It's not real. If it's not the money or the miles, stop thinking about it.